Raila Odinga. By that time, he was still of the Liberal Democrats. We went ahead and also included the Scottish National Party and also other political parties to look into the issue of thematic assassinations and killings of the Kikuyu young male and depopulating their women. And this history that we are writing down. As a result of that, we lobbied the United Nations Human Rights Commission, of which they sent our special rapporteur, Professor Philip Sons, who came on a fact-finding mission in this country, and then what he found out was very appalling. He made his report to the United Nations in New York, and then the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Switzerland came up with guidelines on how to treat asylum seekers from this nation, especially of the Kikuyu origin. And that's why we heard for the first time lots of them being given asylum in the UK. I went ahead and joined the then president of Ghana, Gerald Rawlings, whom we convinced to ship out some of these Mungiki leaders. As a result of that, many of them were shipped to Mozambique, one of them being Ndunge Wariungi, who was shipped out with a Portuguese passport. You can find that out from him. And because of thematic and systematic killings, our lives were put in danger, save for James Orengo and Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, who is sitting here, who came in London, made many trips in London to console with us, with those particular families that had lost their siblings. I hold the former president accountable for the thematic elimination of the Kikuyu community, something that Gachagua is now repeating. And let me assure you that we are appealing to the British government not on cameras. I am appealing to the British government not on cameras, but we know what you are going to do. To ban those who are involved from stepping foot in Britain and EU, to ban those who are spearheading these semantic and systematic killings of young Kikuyu men and women from setting foot in Britain, in USA. And I can assure you that when I say it, I mean it. And I know what I'm talking about. And with Baba being here, and the other lawyers being here, and other leaders being here, I can assure you for free that we, having been outside the country, knowing the history of what the Kikuyus did for this country, of what the Kikuyus have done in the entire world, of what the Kikuyus have done to open up the economic development of this country, of how much money is brought in this country through Kenyans in the diaspora, many of them who originated from Mungiki, many of them who remained outside, many of them who suffered, and thank God they have settled in the UK, they have settled in the United States, and they are bringing money in the country to improve the economy of this country. Yet some MFs are now taking advantage of political ramifications to kill them. Gachagua is just a small man. You may have the barrel of the gun. You may have all the powers. You may have all the police. But when the day of reckoning comes, you'll be alone. We have seen other leaders who are here before who are used to doing that. Biot being one of them. Where is Biot today? Dead and buried 6 feet under the grave. What about people like those ones you know from Mount Kenya? When you take power and power corrupts you and you start eliminating people, you start eliminating people. You start cleansing people. You start ethnicization of one community. How do you think Kenyans are feeling about it? How do you think people in Uganda are feeling about it? How do you think the world is looking you at? Kenya was very peaceful until recently when madness came in after stealing the elections. You want us now to come and work with you? Oh, Professor Wajakoya can just be brought. And for those who are being brought, we know them. Time of reckoning will come. We are here to appeal to this government to leave Maina Njenga alone. Leave Maina Njenga alone, because you are just making a mole out of a mountain. Maina Njenga has played his role. Maina Njenga has paid for his whatever. Why would you just take one man, shoot his wives, kill them, shoot at him, and then now you want to disperse those young men? They're hungry. When you see a lion, don't think it is a lion when you can put your finger in his mouth. Gachagua has just put his mouth, he has just put his finger in the young men who are hungry, making Kikuyus to fight Kikuyus. How do you think other tribes in this country are feeling like? How do you think the Luos are looking at them? What about the Luyas and the Masais? Oh, Kikuyus sasa wameanza kupigana wenyewe kwa wenyewe. Kikuyus are very peaceful people. I have a daughter from that community. I have friends from that community. In the police, I've been promoted by people from that community. In the last general election, I was financially supported by people from that community. Please give me time. Please. I'm angry. Give me time, because this is something which is going right inside my soul. We cannot allow this. We shall never allow this. And for you who are here, who are related to members of the Kikuyu community, how do you feel when one man who is using taxes belonging to the Kenyan people, who wants to eliminate the entire society, you kill one Kikuyu, 10 are born every day. Moi tried that. Kill 5, 100 are born. These are like the Jewish people. You cannot eliminate. Muzungus tried and they failed. Thank you very much.
I'm sure we will hear from the DAP party leader, Mheshimiwa Waziri wa Marwa. Yake si mrefu sana. You call back.
Asante sana. Kabla tujaleta kinara wetu baba aweze kuzungumzia hili jambo, wahenga walisema mbiu ya mgambo ikilia kuna jambo, na leo tumesikia mbiu ya mgambo ikilia mlima Kenya. Kwa hivyo kuna jambo. Nataka nishukuru sana viongozi wenzangu kutoka mlima Kenya ambao wamezungumza hapa. Kwetu wanasema ukificha mgonjwa ama ugonjwa utasikia vilio. Nataka niwashukuru sababu wamekuja kusema kuna shida mlima Kenya. And it's not a secret that the Kenya Kwanza regime came to power through a pack of lies. And in fact, the 8 months we have seen of the Kenya Kwanza regime is a boulevard of broken promises and broken dreams by many Kenyans, including our brothers and sisters from Mount Kenya region. It's not a secret that this illegitimate regime is losing support of the mountain day by day, and they're aware of it. And what they are planning to do, Chinua Achebe once said, when you see a toad jumping in broad daylight, there is something after its life. When you see someone who is supposed to be a president of a country and a symbol of national unity threatening members of parliament, someone who is supposed to be a deputy president threatening members of parliament and literally blackmailing members of parliament that if you do not do this, you will not get roads or you will not get development in your regions. There is something terribly wrong with what Bwana Ruto na Bwana Gachagua wamesema jana kutoa vitisho kwa wabunge wetu. But we also know that out there in the mountain, because they are aware they have lost support, they are preparing to use very strong arm tactics. And we are talking about a repressive regime that intends to mute the rebellion that is building in the mountain. And how will they do that? They say you give a dog a bad name and you hang it. As they are losing the support of majority of the young people, the boda-bodas, the mamambogas, the threat in the mountain is going to be like the days of Nyayo, the days of Mwakenya. All they needed to do is brand you a Mwakenya and plant something on you, and you'll be arrested. In the mountain, before open dissent is seen, they intend to use the word Mungeki. Brand any young person who might be rebelling against this regime, including the boda-boda, who are feeling the weight of the high cost of petrol. And today they are no longer singing about the hustler who pretended to be one of them and has now abandoned that mamamboga who was on the headlines today. We want to thank you, the media, for calling out William Ruto and
protect these people against harassment by this illegitimate regime. Thank you. Yes.
Jina langu ni Joel Chacha kutoka runinga ya K24 TV, na hapo kesho vuguvugu la Sita litakuwa linaandamana dhidi ya mswada wa fedha wa mwaka 2023, Finance Bill 2023, na kumekuwa na matumaini haswa licha ya Azimio kuzungumzia tu swala hili, vile labda mjitokeze katika streets za hapa Nairobi kuandamana haswa kuzuia Finance Bill kupita. Je, msimamo wenu kama Azimio ikizingatiwa vile ulikuwa umesema hivi leo utatangaza mwelekeo wa wale ambao wana bila shaka fuatilia sera zako, labda uweze kueleza haswa mtafanya nini kushinikiza serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ambayo mmesema haisikii maoni yoyote ila maandamano peke yake?
Shukran sana. Kwanza, kabla sijajibu hiyo swali lako ya mambo ya ile mswada ya fedha, ningependa kukariri kwa muktasari yale ambayo mimi nisema kwa kimombo, ati sisi kama Azimio la Kenya tunapinga vikali sana ile njama ya kujaribu kunyanyasa vijana wa mkoa wa Kati katika taifa letu. Tumeona njama ikifanywa kujaribu kufanya hata hawa ni watu ni wahalifu, ati ni mungiki na kadhalika. Wengine wanashikwa, kwa mfano Mheshimiwa Maina Njenga amefuatwa kila mara kwa mara tangu wakati ule mwingine ambaye yeye mwenyewe aliandamana na mimi kwenda kwa mazishi ya marehemu Mkami wa Kimathi. Kila amefuatwa, wamefanya msako kwa nyumba vyake kule upande wa Nyandarua, upande wa Laikipia, Nakuru na hata hapa Nairobi. Na ameshikwa, mapelekwa kule mahakamani Nakuru, baadaye yakaletwa hapa kwa kikao kikuu cha DCI, baadaye akarudishwa tena kule mahakamani akishindikizwa na mawakili wetu huko. Kitu ya ajabu ni ya kwamba yule mahakama alipokuwa anatoa uamuzi wake anasema ati Bwana Njenga amepigwa marufuku kuongea au kufanya mambo yoyote, ambaye hakuna mtu ambaye aliomba yeye juu ya mambo haya. Kwa hivyo yeye anaonyesha kwamba kuna njama, na kwa upande mwingine hata mahakama inasurutishwa na hii serikali kufanya uamuzi kinyume na sheria. Tumesema sisi tutazimama imara nyuma ya wenzetu wa kutoka mkoa wa Kati. Vile nimesema Bwana Gachagua amekuwa akijigamba kila mara kwa mara ati yeye ni mtoto wa Mau. Yeye na Bwana Kimani Ichung'wah. Nimesema atueleze kinaga ubaga uhusiano wake na yule chief Nderi Gachagua wa Ng'ombe ambaye aliuawa na Mau mwaka wa 1953 kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe alikuwa mshirika wa koloni. Alikuwa anashiriki kunyanyasa wa Mau wakati ule. Na tukisema kama baba yake alikuwa Mau, atueleze nambari ya baba yake katika hiyo jeshi la Mau. Hata Bwana Kamau Ichung'wah, tunataka kujua uhusiano wenu, kama baba yako alikuwa Mau, alikuwa anafanya wapi, alikuwa anashiriki kwa vita wapi, katika msitu gani? Sasa kwa mambo ya mswada ya fedha, sisi kama Azimio tutatoa msimamo wetu kamili siku ya Alhamisi. Siku ya Alhamisi tutatoa taarifa yetu kamili, tutaeleza Wakenya kinagaubaga lakini wabunge wetu wote tayari wameambiwa wapinge vikali hii mswada. Kama wewe ni mwanaazimio, pinga kabisa. Na wale wabunge ambao wataunga mkono hiyo mswada, nataka wale wapigaji kura wao waweke wao kwenye darubini, ili wajue kwamba wao ni wasaliti wa wananchi wa Kenya. Asanteni sana. Nimesutatoa taarifa.
Maybe just a quick one, just away from the finance bill. The worrying now in counties is lack of funds, and that the government has not released funds from February, some March. What do you think of the willingness of this government to support devolution? And number two, some political parties are complaining not to have received their political parties' funds. Has ODM received the funds, and what do you think is going forward in terms of the democracy in supporting the political parties?
About the funds, I'm told that there was a meeting today between governors and Mr. Gachagua. So I don't want to talk about, but all the times you have condemned the delay by the national government to remit funds to the county government. This government is actually trying to kill devolution, because if they're saying that they inherited an empty copper, you want to ask yourself, up to August last year, there were never any delays. And that regime of Uhuru Kenyatta was also collecting taxes from the people of Kenya. And they were able to pay, at least the following month, all the dues to the county government. What has happened since that time that we now have these serious problems? I think myself is that there is a deliberate effort to try to take over some of the functions which are being done by the county government. But also, everybody knows that corruption has shot up very exponentially since this regime came into power. So we have said ourselves that this regime is not up to what the Kenyans expect. And we are going to tell Kenyans what to do. I've been asked wherever I go, tangaza maandamano, tamaza maandamano. We are putting them on notice. Tutatangaza. Thank you.